For decades, a pervasive myth has dominated our understanding of human health, suggesting that bacteria are merely invading pathogens we must eradicate with harsh sanitizers and antibiotics. We have historically viewed our digestive tract as nothing more than a simple mechanical plumbing system designed merely to process calories and expel waste. But a profound scientific revolution is actively rewriting the textbooks of human biology. We now know that you are not entirely human. In fact, by cell count, you are roughly half microbial. Deep within your intestines lies a bustling, microscopic metropolis that dictates far more than just how you digest your lunch. Let us understand the astonishing reality of this hidden ecosystem. We are exploring the science of the gut microbiome and its body-wide impact, peeling back the layers of outdated assumptions to reveal how these billions of bacteria influence our immunity, our mood, and our overall vitality. The gut microbiome, which we can define as the complex, dynamic ecosystem of trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and archaea residing primarily in our large intestine, is essentially an unrecognized organ. It weighs roughly as much as your human brain and easily rivals it in sheer biochemical complexity. For a long time, early scientific discoveries only hinted at the gut microbiome's broader influence. When 17th-century scientists first observed these microscopic organisms, they were largely dismissed as mere passengers or opportunistic scavengers taking advantage of our body heat. Today, meticulous research indicates that this microbial community is a fundamental, non-negotiable driver of our physiology. We are discovering that the precise diversity and composition of these microbes are as unique to you as your fingerprint, shaped by your birth, your daily environment, and most importantly, your long-term diet. Let us first examine the foundational role of these microbes in our daily survival, specifically looking beyond simple digestion. When we consume food, our own human enzymes can only do so much work. We completely lack the biological machinery required to break down complex carbohydrates and tough plant fibers. This is exactly where our microbial residents step in to do the heavy lifting. They ferment these indigestible fibers, transforming them into vital chemical compounds that our bodies desperately need to function. This intricate process directly impacts bioavailability, a scientific term we use to describe the exact proportion of a nutrient that is successfully absorbed from the digestive tract and utilized by the body's systemic circulation. Without our gut bacteria, the bioavailability of many crucial plant-based compounds from our daily diet would be near zero. They are the master chemists unlocking the true nutritional potential of our food. Furthermore, these microbes act as tiny, continuous manufacturing plants inside our bodies. They synthesize essential micronutrients, which are the specific vitamins and minerals our bodies require in small amounts for critical physiological functions. For example, gut bacteria are directly responsible for producing a significant portion of our daily requirement for vitamin K, which is necessary for proper blood clotting, as well as several B vitamins that support cellular energy production. They also profoundly influence our metabolism. We can understand metabolism as the intricate, interconnected web of life-sustaining chemical reactions within our cells that convert food into usable energy and cellular building blocks. The exact composition of your gut microbiome can dictate how efficiently you extract calories from the food you eat, how you store body fat, and how your cells respond to the hormone insulin. The empirical evidence for this metabolic control is striking. Studies show that transferring the gut microbiome from an obese mouse into a lean, germ-free mouse causes the lean mouse to rapidly gain weight, completely independent of any change in caloric intake or physical activity. This astonishing fact proves that our metabolic destiny is heavily negotiated by our bacterial guests. Specific strains of bacteria are incredibly efficient at harvesting energy from the diet, meaning two people can eat the exact same meal, but the person with a highly efficient microbiome will absorb more total calories. Understanding this mechanism shifts the scientific conversation away from simple calorie counting and toward the complex ecology of our digestive system. The physiological magic truly happens through the biochemical byproducts of microbial fermentation, specifically through molecules known as short-chain fatty acids. The most heavily researched of these are butyrate, acetate, and propionate. These molecules are the unsung heroes of human health. Butyrate, for instance, serves as the primary energy source for the epithelial cells lining the wall of your colon. It keeps this crucial intestinal barrier incredibly strong, preventing a condition commonly referred to as leaky gut, a dangerous state where undigested food particles and bacterial toxins slip inappropriately into the bloodstream. But the far-reaching influence of these short-chain fatty acids extends well beyond the local environment of digestion. Once produced in the colon, they travel throughout the entire bloodstream, acting as powerful signaling molecules that communicate directly with our liver, our muscle tissue, and even our brain. They help regulate systemic inflammation, stabilize blood sugar levels by influencing insulin sensitivity, and play critical roles in managing our appetite by triggering the release of hormones that signal fullness to the brain. The continuous production of these fatty acids is entirely dependent on us feeding our microbes the specific types of dietary fiber they require to thrive. Now let us pivot to one of the most critical and surprising roles of the gut microbiome, which is its profound, lifelong impact on our immune system. It is a stunning scientific fact that roughly 70% of your entire immune system resides directly within your gut tissue. This anatomical arrangement is not a mere coincidence. Your gut lining is the single largest physical interface between the outside world and your internal biological environment. The microbiome acts as a rigorous, constantly active training camp for your immune cells. From the moment we are born, these bacteria interact with immune receptors, teaching our developing defense system how to accurately differentiate between harmless dietary proteins and genuinely dangerous pathogens. When this microbial ecosystem is diverse and highly balanced, our immune response is measured, precise, and highly effective. However, when the delicate balance is disrupted, a state known scientifically as dysbiosis, research suggests we become significantly more susceptible to autoimmune conditions, severe allergies, and chronic low-grade inflammation. The bacteria are essentially acting as the commanding officers of our internal defense forces, constantly directing the immune system on when to mount an attack and when to stand down. A depleted microbiome often leads to a hyperactive immune system, which begins attacking the body's own healthy tissues, highlighting exactly why maintaining microbial diversity is a non-negotiable pillar of long-term health. Perhaps the most captivating frontier in this rapidly evolving field of health science is the discovery of the gut-brain axis. For generations, the medical establishment assumed the human brain was the absolute isolated commander of our mood, our thoughts, and our cognition. We now know that a massive bidirectional communication highway connects the central nervous system in our skull to the enteric nervous system governing our gut. This is the gut-brain axis, a highly complex network of nerves, circulating hormones, and biochemical signaling pathways. The primary physical link in this system is the vagus nerve, a thick, wandering neural cable extending all the way from the base of the brainstem down into the abdomen. Gut bacteria have the remarkable biological ability to stimulate the vagus nerve directly, sending rapid-fire electrical signals straight to the brain. But the communication is also deeply chemical. It may completely upend your understanding of biology to learn that gut bacteria actually produce or stimulate the production of many of the exact same neurotransmitters found in the human brain. In fact, an estimated 90% of the body's serotonin, the famous chemical messenger heavily associated with happiness, mood control, and overall well-being, is manufactured right in the digestive tract. Microbes also produce dopamine, which drives our reward pathways, and gamma-aminobutyric acid, a vital neurotransmitter that helps regulate anxiety and calm the nervous system. While these specific gut-derived neurotransmitters may not cross the highly restrictive blood-brain barrier directly, they profoundly influence the vagus nerve and systemic inflammatory markers, which in turn radically alter brain function. Scientists are actively exploring how specific strains of bacteria might mitigate severe symptoms of depression, reduce anxiety, and even influence the progression of long-term neurological health conditions. The groundbreaking idea that our emotional resilience and cognitive clarity are fundamentally tied to the fermentation of plant fiber in our colon is a true paradigm-shifting revelation. It suggests that supporting mental health must inherently involve supporting the microbiome. Understanding this immense biological power naturally leads to the practical question of how we can best harness it. Here, we must carefully cut through the overwhelming noise of aggressive marketing and unverified health claims. The modern wellness industry heavily promotes expensive, flashy supplements, often deliberately blurring the lines between rigorous science and opportunistic sales. Let us clarify the evidence-based truth regarding prebiotics and probiotics. Probiotics are live microorganisms that, when administered in adequate amounts, confer a documented health benefit on the host. They are essentially the transient workers passing through the gut, offering temporary biochemical assistance, modulating the local immune environment, and competing for physical space with harmful bacteria. However, we must ruthlessly debunk the myth that popping a generic, over-the-counter probiotic pill is a miracle cure capable of undoing the systemic damage of a poor diet. The scientific efficacy of probiotics is highly strain-specific, meaning a bacteria that helps with irritable bowel syndrome will do absolutely nothing for general immune support. Furthermore, their presence in the gut is often entirely temporary. If you stop taking the supplement, the introduced bacteria typically wash out of your system within a few short weeks. They do not permanently colonize your digestive tract unless the underlying environment is already hospitable to them. The far more impactful, yet culturally less glamorous dietary intervention lies strictly in the realm of prebiotics. Prebiotics are selectively fermented dietary ingredients that result in specific, measurable changes in the composition or activity of the gastrointestinal microbiota, thus conferring significant benefits upon host health. In much simpler terms, prebiotics are the actual food required by your good bacteria. They are the complex carbohydrates and soluble fibers abundantly found in whole foods like garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, slightly green bananas, and intact whole grains. You simply cannot build a thriving microbial metropolis if you do not consistently feed the workers. A diet rich in diverse, intact plant fibers is the single most effective, scientifically validated method to cultivate a robust and highly diverse microbiome. Can specific dietary patterns profoundly alter the composition of our gut bacteria? The scientific answer is an unequivocal yes. Studies consistently show that transitioning from a standard Western diet, which is typically dangerously high in saturated fats and heavily processed ingredients, to a plant-rich Mediterranean dietary pattern can measurably and positively shift the microbial population in a matter of mere days. Conversely, ultra-processed foods, which are often laden with artificial emulsifiers, industrial preservatives, and entirely devoid of intact dietary fiber, effectively starve our beneficial microbes. Worse yet, emerging research indicates that certain synthetic food additives may directly degrade the protective mucosal layer of the intestine, actively promoting systemic inflammation. In stark contrast, diets abundant in diverse, highly colorful plants provide a rich array of polyphenols. These are complex plant compounds that human enzymes cannot fully digest, but which act as an absolute feast for specific beneficial bacteria, further enhancing our body-wide health and biological resilience. We must also briefly acknowledge the profound impact of modern medicine on this delicate ecosystem, particularly the widespread use of broad-spectrum antibiotics. While these medications are undeniably life-saving marvels of science that have eradicated deadly infections, they act as a blunt instrument within the digestive tract. They indiscriminately wipe out both the harmful pathogens causing an illness and the vast populations of beneficial bacteria keeping us healthy. Recovering from a course of antibiotics requires a dedicated, intentional focus on repopulating and feeding the microbiome through targeted, fiber-rich nutrition to prevent long-term dysbiosis. The evolving science of the gut microbiome fundamentally challenges our historical perception of human individuality. We are not isolated, autonomous organisms navigating the world entirely alone. We are walking, breathing ecosystems, deeply and permanently intertwined with the microscopic life forms we harbor. Every single meal we consume is a critical feeding event, not just for our own human cells, but for trillions of microbial partners working relentlessly on our behalf. By prioritizing genuine dietary diversity, embracing fiber-rich whole foods, and maintaining a healthy, evidence-based skepticism toward quick-fix wellness supplements, we can actively manage and optimize this hidden organ. This knowledge is not meant to induce anxiety or fear about what we choose to eat, but rather to foster a profound, empowering appreciation for the exquisite interconnectedness of our body systems. It equips us to make informed, highly rational health choices, recognizing that when we consciously nourish our microbiome, we are laying the absolute foundational bedrock for our own robust immunity, our metabolic stability, and our enduring cognitive vitality. The scientific evidence is abundantly clear, and the ongoing journey of discovery continues to reveal that the path to optimal human health is quite literally a collaborative effort.